Okay, so the quantity that's sold is 1 over n plus 1. So what happens as n gets large? Kisan?
Yeah.
What happens as n gets large?
So prices will for one.
And what happens to quantity? It's right here. That's the quantity. What happens as n gets large?
Decrease
What? To what? Decrease to what?
to 0.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So as n rises, the price goes up towards 1, and that chokes off all demand. And so the quantity goes to 0. So notice this is exactly the opposite of what happened in Cournot competition, right? In Cournot competition, as the number of firms got large, the markup got very small, and the quantity went to the efficient quantity. Here the markup is getting very large, and the quantity is going to 0, right? So rather than the markup going to 0, the quantity goes to 0, right? And the reason is that firms don't take into account the fact that when they raise their price, they hurt the other firms too, right? Because if one firm's price is higher, then everybody else is going to sell less, right? And in fact, all the formulas here are exactly the same as the formulas under linear Cournot. And that suggests sort of a deeper similarity between the two situations. In fact, they're equivalent to, or what economists call dual to one another. So let's compare the two problems. So under Cournot quantity competition, everyone takes everyone else's quantity as given, right? The price is going to depend on the sum of everyone's quantities. And profits are the product of quantity and the price, basically, in the market. On the other hand, in the Cournot collaboration problem, everyone takes others' prices as given. The quantity depends on the sum of all the prices, and the profits are, again, the product of markup and quantity. So what that says is that these problems are exactly identical, right? You just change the words markup and the word quantity between the two of them, right? And that means that any result in Cournot applies here, except in reverse, right? So firms hurt others by raising their price rather than their quantity. And that means that prices are too high, even from the perspective of the firms. So that means that if the firms were to merge, they would actually be better off rather than, consumers would actually be better off rather than worse off. So if two firms merge in Cournot, that leads them to reduce their quantities and raise the price. Here it would lead them to reduce their price and therefore raise the quantity. So a merger between two complementary firms is beneficial. So the basic problem here is that each is scrambling to get their piece of the pie, and in the process they're shrinking the size of the total pie, right? And this leads to a different policy towards vertical mergers. So when one firm supplies something to another, then those two firms are complements in the market. Or when one firm produces left shoes, another firm produces right shoes, it's actually beneficial if those firms merge with one another. And this is why the government takes a very lenient stance towards Google buying up lots of small companies that supply components into the Google system, whereas they might be very unhappy about Google merging with Yahoo, right? And the reason it's called vertical is we often